So this book just here, Atomic Habits, as you can see, it says tiny changes, remarkable results. And to me, it kind of sounded marginally clickbaity, because you're like, yeah, right. How on earth is this book going to change my life? But it already has. I have got a brand new series for you. It is going to be out around about once a month. And basically what it is looking at some of the books that have most influenced my life, my business, the way that I do things. Now, each of the books will always be linked down in the description and also pinned in the comments. So much of the success is down to this book. Like, it's so good. So basically it has like a few fundamental tips. So I kind of just wanted to give you like a bit of an overview on the book, because kind of if you can take some of these key points, and then if you want to read it further, then absolutely use that link down below. So basically it's saying really about how our habits compound. So instead of thinking like, okay, it's New Year, I'm overweight, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to lose 5 stone this year. Like, that's a huge, huge thing. But if you start with like something small, like, okay, 3 times a week, I'm going to go to a gym, I'm going to spend 20 minutes. And that already seems so much easier, but it goes further than that. It also talks about kind of that dopamine hit and about getting in, like rewarding ourselves for doing these habits that we want to create. Because basically, if we want to create these habits, we need to get that dopamine hit. So our body is like, I want to do that again and again and again. Now, my life is absolutely hectic. I work full time. I have these businesses going on the side. I'm a mum of 3. So I needed to get my stuff in order. And this has really helped me. So I was kind of like, right, I want to start reading 1 book a month. As I said, first book. And it was really good. It took me a little bit longer than a month, but that's absolutely fine. And basically what it taught me is about just making these small changes and about tagging things on. And this kind of video is, I guess, kind of a bit of an extension of this book, because it talks about kind of integrating things into your life. So one of my things that I wanted to do this year was to start reading more. For kind of the last 5 years, I have pretty much read Julia Donaldson. We're now on to David Walliams. We've progressed. But I kind of wasn't reading anything for me. And as much as I love reading to the children, reading has always been an important part of my life as well. So one of the things I kind of said to myself is like, right, okay, I'm going to read 1 book a month. And then I am going to do a YouTube video about that book, about any kind of impacts and things like that it's had on me. So basically it talks about the 4 laws of creating a habit. So basically number 1 is Q. So this might be something like taking your vitamins every day. This might be a habit that you want to start, but where do you keep your vitamins? Are you keeping them in a place that you are going to see and think, ah, yes, that's it. That's where I want my vitamins. For example, I suffer from hay fever, which is really common. And what I have done is I have moved my hay fever tablets next to the kettle. Every single morning, the first thing I do when I'm getting ready coming downstairs is I switch on the kettle, and now I take my hay fever tablet rather than forgetting about it every single day. I have the kids' vitamins next to the tea bags. So then as I go and get my tea bag, my morning tea, I remember, oh yes, okay, I need to now give them their vitamins as well. So it's little things like that, kind of moving things around to make it easy for ourselves. Next up is craving. So this is kind of like where I was talking about the dopamine hits and things like that. So often the dopamine hit doesn't come when we actually have that gratification. It's actually the thought of it. So for example, for a lot of people, going to a shop and buying, let's just say, a huge bar of chocolate, oh my gosh, that dopamine hit instantly comes over you. But the actual reality of eating that huge bar of chocolate, perhaps not so appealing and may make you feel a bit sick. So then we have the response. So far we've dealt with the cue, the craving. So now the response is, are we actually doing that? Am I actually taking that hay fever pill? Am I feeling the reward from not having really itchy, watery eyes and looking like I've been in tears for the past week? Because that's essentially the reward, and the reward is the fourth law. So for some people, for example, you might find that going to the gym is a real chore. And this is the same for probably a lot of people out there. And so what you need to kind of start thinking about is, what can you kind of compound with that? How can you turn that into like an everyday habit? So for example, let's say you go to work. So then you make sure that when you get in your car, your gym kit is already there. So that's your cue. You make sure then that you're going into the gym, you're there. You're going to start your workout. Once you've done your workout, you want to give yourself some kind of a reward. Now that might be something that you enjoy. Obviously, we don't want to do it like in an unhealthy way, because the habit is to create a healthy one. So it might be that, you know, at the end of your workout, you go and sit in the steam room or the sauna, or if you've done your 5 workouts that week, you treat yourselves to getting your nails done, your hair done, or get yourself a new pair of like exercise shoes or something that is going to help you with that habit. And by doing it kind of step by step like that, it really makes a huge difference. Now, something that I found that really set this book apart from a lot of other ones that I have read in the past was kind of the quotes and the anecdotes that sort of all really went with it. And that's what I really loved. It was kind of like, don't just try and change everything all at once, because the majority of the time you're going to crash and burn. And one of like my favorite anecdotes was actually quite early on in the book. So it was basically about the Great British Cycling Team, who had up until 2003 been doing absolutely awfully until they got in this new coach. And basically his strategy was about marginal gains. So for example, his idea before working on what it was that they were doing, he was like, right, okay, so how can we make the bike slightly faster? For example, so he looked at the frames, he looked at the tires, he looked at the treads, he looked at what they were wearing. Could he make them more aerodynamic? And bit by bit, they started to see these marginal gains, but 1% here and there soon adds up. And before you knew it, they'd won. So it says here, in just 5 years, Brailsford, who was the coach, took the British cycling team in both road and track events in the 2008 Olympic Games, where they won 60% of gold medals available. 4 years later in London, the Olympics, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. And also, Bradley Wiggins became the first cyclist to win the Tour de France, which he then went on to win for 3 more years. But this didn't happen overnight. He was already like, okay, we've got the best athletes in the UK. How can I improve what they're doing? And they tested like so many different things. They tested different massage oils. They tested different rest and recovery. They tested different headphones. They tested different suits. They tested absolutely everything to see what could make that 1% difference. And that 1% kept compounding and compounding and compounding until it gave us 60% of the gold medals available. And that's what I'm saying. So if you think about it in terms of like a weight loss goal, start thinking, okay, I want to lose, let's say, a stone. And then you need to think of it in terms of, right, so how do I get there? Okay, obviously, let's eat less, exercise more. That is so broad and that is going to be so hard to achieve. So what you would then do is say, okay, currently I'm having an 11 Z's and a 3 Z's every day on top of my 3 meals per day. My 11 Z's and my 3 Z's are usually biscuits at 11 and cake at 3, or a chocolate bar or crisps or something like that. And initially, you might not take that out entirely. What you might do is just change it for a healthier substitute. You might not be into like fruits and vegetables and things like that, which will give you the lowest calories. But what you might think is, okay, what would be the healthier option? Currently, I'm having like a bag of Wotsits that has, let's say, 159 calories. Let me see what I can find for 99 calories. And then you do the same with your morning snack. And then you start to think about your dinner. You start to perhaps maybe just reduce the portion size slightly. With the exercise, you're like, okay, I'm just going to go 3 days a week and I'm just going to do 10, 15 minutes. And then as that builds, you're like, okay, I'm going to do 3 days a week, but now 30 minutes. And you just keep building it like that. And before you know it, you're hitting your goals. So something else that I really loved is that basically it shows that pretty much your progress is going to kind of go like this. But it might dip off and that's okay. And then it might go back up again. But some people's, it might be like this. And that's absolutely fine. It literally doesn't matter what your progress is like, but it's your progress. And it's okay if you slip off, but get straight back on. It's about focusing on the systems rather than the goal itself. So the system is kind of like what I explained at the beginning, whereby you're putting your gym bag in your car already. So as soon as you leave work, you get your gym bag, you're straight into the gym. It's really simple things like that that make you get to that place that you want to go. Put the system in place so that you've got your cues so that you don't miss them. So that when you get in your car and you see your gym bag, you're like, oh yeah, okay, let's go to the gym. Let's do 15 minutes. And if you're not feeling it that day, that's fine. You're not going to feel it every single day. And there was a another anecdote way later on whereby they asked a coach of some weightlifters and they said, what is the difference between your average person and an Olympic weightlifter? And they said essentially it's about people repeating the same mundane thing time after time. Even when they don't feel like it, even when they're feeling rubbish, they're still going to go to that gym and they're still going to squat, they're still going to lift. And that's what separates. And that's what helps you build that habit. So even if you're feeling like, oh gosh, it's been such a long, stressful day, I don't really feel like going to the gym, go to the gym anyway and say, I'm going to do 5 minutes. Once you've done those 5 minutes, you're likely going to stay for your full hour, half an hour, however long it is that you were planning on doing. And then, so something else which I think is really cool in the book. So when you actually get to the back, it talks about how you can actually apply these to your business, how you can apply these to parenting. And then like there's just so much amazing information. And a lot of it talks about like how our beliefs actually hold us back. So something that James Clear does is actually does like an annual integrity report. So he like looks back at his previous years. So I guess for a lot of us, we might maybe do like a gratitude journal or something like that. And that kind of feeds into it. You're looking each day and saying, what's going well, what's not going so well, and what can I change? He does it on a bigger scale annually. And I think that's a really good way to keep ourselves like in check and actually also get that dopamine hit, because how great are you going to feel if you've actually hit your targets that you've set the previous year, even though you've broken them down so much? Like it just has such a big difference to our lives. Now, as I say, this book has really been quite mind-blowing, and one of the biggest things was about the habit stacking. So if you've already got a good habit, it's about kind of then stacking the next one on top, and then the next one, and then the next one. So for example, we'll use the gym again, but if you're looking at going to the gym, that you get to the gym, you do your workout, you've done that. So then let's stack the next habit after that. So when you finish the gym, you're going to have either your protein shake, or you're going to go straight home and have your healthy meal. You might even have that meal already prepped. Like there is just so much within this book, and I wish that I could give you more detail. But if you would like to read this book about how tiny changes can make remarkable results, an easy, proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, Atomic Habits by James Clear, have a look at the link in the description. It is an incredible book and I really recommend it. I can't wait to see you for our next book club. I'll see you soon. Bye.